Welcome to topic 2 of our home workout series, the complete guide to working out from home. Today you're going to learn what functional training is all about. And more importantly, we're going to show you how to start doing it from home today. Let's dive straight in. So what exactly is functional training? Functional movements are like the foundation of a house. They're strong, reliable, and everything placed atop is in good health and order. Unfortunately, the phrase functional gets thrown around a lot these days. Its rise in popularity has, unfortunately at times, distorted its true meaning in a bid to sell more memberships and to make more money. So what actually is it? Functional movements mimic the movement patterns that we use in everyday life. Whether that's perhaps, sitting down on a chair or the couch, maybe that's lifting up a heavy sack of potatoes above your head to put in the pantry, or maybe it's being able to get up and down a flight of stairs. We want to replicate these movements in our workouts, progressing the difficulty and the load over time as our body adjusts to the training. Functional training comes in 5 different categories: pushing, pulling, hip hinging, squatting, and bracing. The first category is pushing. A gym example of this might be a push-up, or perhaps it's, getting 2 dumbbells and pressing them above your head. But like we said before, perhaps an everyday example is, getting a sack of potatoes or kind of pushing something up above you or pushing yourself away from something. The next one is pull. So pulling is all about pulling something towards you or pulling yourself up towards something. So in the gym, this is pull-ups, or perhaps it's an inverse row where we're pulling ourselves up to something, or perhaps it's a cable row. In daily life, maybe it's we're reaching down to grab something to pull up to ourselves. Maybe it's our baby, or it's just a sack of potatoes that we've got on the ground, or perhaps it's pulling ourselves up to something. The next one is hip hinging. Now, perhaps this is the most tricky one to understand if you're new to the gym, but this one's all about using your hamstrings, glutes, and your lower back to actually pull something up to yourself using those hips, okay? So in the gym, this might be a deadlift, so you're reaching down, pulling a bar up to your hips. Maybe it's a hip thrust. You've got a bar on something heavy on your hips and you're thrusting your hips through. In daily life, probably not as many examples, but it might just be we've got something heavy on the ground and we want to lift that up with good posture, really loading through our hips and pulling it up to ourselves using those strong hip muscles. The next category is squat. Now this one's all about using our quad muscles and loading up through our knees. So examples of this in the gym might be a barbell back squat, or perhaps it's a lunge where you're going one leg at a time. Another example is a step up. In daily life, we've got plenty of examples of a squat. Again, maybe it's sitting down on the couch or on a chair, or maybe it's tying your shoelace, getting down on one leg, or perhaps it's, like we said before, going up a flight of stairs. The final category of functional training is brace, also known as abs or core. So this one is all about bracing throughout our midsection and our hips and resisting movement. So examples of this one in the gym are a dead bug, so we're on our back. Again, we're bracing, pushing through the floor with our lower back and our abs. Or it's like a plank, again, bracing ourselves. In daily life, an example of a brace might be you've got a really heavy bag of shopping in one hand and you're, again, trying to brace through that midsection and not let that bag pull you to the side. So again, that's brace. So functional exercises are the basic movement patterns that we complete in the gym, and they make up most of the movements that we should be doing. They use multiple joints and lots of different muscles, so they give you really good value for the time that you put in. So why is functional training so important? Functional training gives you clear and direct benefits to your daily life. So next time someone tells you, this exercise is functional, have a think about your daily life and how that exercise might actually be helping you. Of course, there are some exceptions to the rule. However, functional exercises should make up the bulk or the majority of your session. Performing fundamental exercises helps you identify your strengths as well as your weaknesses. As you begin to consistently perform these functional training exercises, you'll learn more about how your body likes to move. You might find that perhaps you're doing a squat, and when you're squatting down to the bottom, perhaps your hips shift left or they shift right. Maybe after a set of push-ups, you start to notice, you're fatiguing a lot more in your chest on your left side or your left arm as opposed to your right. This is perfectly normal and it's all part of learning and getting better. However, we want to try and kind of negate or improve these imbalances over time. And learning these functional movement patterns is a great way to take your time. Do you think that the Leaning Tower of Pisa is leaning because someone, 100 years down the track came and pushed it over? No, its foundations weren't solid from the start, so make sure that yours are in the gym. Don't try to progress your functional training exercises too quickly. A lot of people see exercise as kind of a short-term sprint to the finish line. They think it has a clear and obvious start and end point. Perhaps it's, leading into summer and you want to try and get shredded for it. Maybe you've got a wedding coming up and you want to try and fit into that suit or that dress. Having goals in the shorter term is great, but in reality, learning and perfecting these functional training exercises is going to take time. And these things are only or merely checkpoints along the way to keep you accountable. We've got our strong foundations, but it's also going to take a lot of maintenance along the way to ensure that that tower doesn't become a Leaning Tower of Pisa. So what are the next steps? Prioritize functional training exercises, but don't try to progress them too quickly. Structure your workouts around pushing, pulling, hip hinging, squatting, and bracing. Everything else can be the icing on the top around that. Take a look at your current workout regime and have a little think to yourself. Am I trying to throw a house together in one day, or am I building myself on really good foundations of movement? If you're still not quite sure what this content is all about, or you want some help putting these functional training exercises into action, please get in touch with us. Comment below which is your favorite functional training exercise. But for now, we'll see you next week where we talk about our warm-up system. See you then.